Iran threatens to burn the Gulf if America strikes again. Like and subscribe.
Today was a pretty bad day, to be honest. I don't know why everyone's really...
Not particularly so, but I guess for Mario, who thinks the war is over and for peace and whatever, it might be a bad day.
About it. But the demands by the Iranians are just insane.
Relatively speaking, not really. That's just your opinion, Mario.
I don't know whether this is in the...
What do you mean? They haven't changed their goddamn demands in 5 months.
We have numbers.
And I know those numbers. Iran wants to charge 1/3 as much as Trump wanted to charge. Just put those numbers in context.
So,
We have numbers. The numbers are crazy. So in the Bosphorus Straits and the Dardanelles, it's the fee is percentage-wise. I did a quick check. I should have done a probably deeper search. 0.1 to 0.5%. That's in Suez Canal and Panama Canal. 0.1 to 0.5.
Yeah.
In the
Not comparable.
Turkish Straits, it's 0.01% to 0.1% of the cargo. I'm going to let you guess what the percentage is that the Iranians are asking for, according to reports that came out. That's unconfirmed reports.
Well, I've heard everywhere between 7% and 20%.
5 to 7%.
Trump himself proposed 20%, Mario. You do realize that Trump said he wanted to charge 20%. That probably increased the amount that the Iranians charged, because they were probably at 5%, and then Trump once said, I'm going to charge 20, and they're like, you know what? 5% is too low. Let's go up to 7.
5 to 7% compared to 0.1%.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, how about instead of comparing it to those other canals, you compare it to how much Trump wanted to charge?
How many of those other countries have been attacked and had their people killed? And had their...
There's that. There's also the fact that those other places, Panama Canal, there is an alternative going around. Suez Canal, again, alternative going around. So the fee that needs to be charged here needs to be low enough so ships don't choose to go around. There's a limit. But here, the Straits of Hormuz, there is no alternative. There's no around way. You have to either go through the Strait of Hormuz or you don't go at all. So it's a completely different scenario than those two straits. One it's slightly more comparable to is the one to the Black Sea. But that region's been at peace for centuries. Well, no, I shouldn't say centuries. For decades.
Countries bombed. None.
I understand. And I would understand this if this is temporary with a limit, because we don't have any details. The Omanis are trying to get 3%. Like, let's say they get that much to get $200 billion for reparations. I think it's a fair argument, and obviously we'll see what the international community, etc., say about it and what will they do about it. But if they're looking at a permanent fee of 5 to 7%, 200 times more than 500 times more than what Turkey charges, Larry, these are pretty crazy numbers. Like, that's a...
He says it's crazy numbers, but remember, Trump proposed a 20% fee for going through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump's the one who upped the numbers.
lot. And that's
Why
my
do you say
worry. That's the worry.
why do you say they're crazy numbers? What's your standard?
The standard is every other canal or straits that's out there to compare. That's the only comparison.
Well, but
we have.
you're not.
Again, two of them aren't even comparable because they're alternatives. There are ways around them, like the Suez Canal. There's no way around the Strait of Hormuz. So they're not comparable.
You're not using a fair comparison. None of those have been bombed, have been attacked, have had billions of dollars of infrastructure, have had thousands of people killed. I mean, this is, it'd be one thing if Iran was imposing that, just woke up one day and said, hey, we're going to start imposing this fee. But it's very clear they're levying on the world a tax for the attacks that took place.
Would you agree that the high fee, as I said earlier, if they charge it, that's the difference? So my numbers are accurate. By the way, Lisa, these are the numbers you found online, or you just did the quick graph based on what I said?
By the way, this graph is highly inaccurate. 0.5%, even if you took the higher end of this, 0.5%, it's not 1/3, 1/4 of 5 to 7%. So this graph is very inaccurate.
Let's see if these are the actual, your post. Oh, my team did a post on it. Nice. Okay. Send me the post link, Lisa, please. I want to check it out and read it for the audience. Would you agree that if they have a high percentage, Larry, they should do it until reparations are paid off because they face damages in this war of aggression? and then they go to something more along international standards. Is that fair?
Long term, if the fees are too high, countries will build pipelines to go around the Strait of Hormuz. So, Iran knows this. So, it can either charge really low fees to encourage countries not to build pipelines, but I don't think that'll work because Gulf countries and Iran are at war and they don't want to be vulnerable, so they're going to build pipelines anyway. So, yes, if I was Iran, I'd set a very high fee. You don't have to worry about the high fee causing countries to build pipelines because they're planning on doing that anyway, and just collect all the money you can.
Where do you say international standards? There's no international.
Just on that.
No, those aren't. No. Those aren't international standards. Those are just numbers that these countries decided they could charge and get away with. There's no international standard. You know, you're acting like there's some international body of legislation and they reviewed it and they set.
Yeah, there's basically only 3 straits in the world, real big traffic lanes that charge fees. These 3.
The standards. That's not at all.
Yeah, but there's. If you're going to go out there and charge something, when you say go and charge something double or triple, you'd be like, "Well, I'm paying double here, and I could pay half the price somewhere else." Versus you're paying 200 to 500 times more. That's a wild number.
So you pay, let's just say that you pay $3,000 a month to rent your apartment in Dubai, and then I take you to Des Moines.
I just point out that Mario's argument makes no bloody sense whatsoever. When someone charges money for something in a business or real life or anyone selling something, you don't ask yourself, is my price crazy or not? The only question is, will the other side pay it? If the other side is happy to pay it, then you're probably charging too low a price. And 5 to 10%, the world is desperate for oil, they will pay. So it is an appropriate price. 20 probably would be on the higher end, and that would cause problems. 5 to 7, no problem.
Iowa, and you're going to pay 500. So therefore, Dubai is overcharging you. No, it's location, it's the relevance.
6 times more. 6 times more. That's 6x. We're talking about 500x.
That's you getting upset about that. Okay, there's no
exactly
out there saying, "Oh, this is outrageous." No, this is Mario Nawfal said, "This is outrageous." Okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I understand why Iran's doing it. I'm surprised they didn't charge 20%.
My worry is
after Trump threatened to charge 20%, Iran would have been in its right to charge the exact same amount. They're being reasonable by only charging a third of what Trump wanted to charge.
Charging is because these are numbers that look. If they, just to be clear, first, I don't really care what they charge as long as the world is fine with it. I don't really care. My worry is that they ask for such high numbers. The reason I'm worried, and the reason I said to you I've got really bad news, not because of the high number they charge. My concern is that was my concern before the ceasefire back in April. I did a post. I said this is you're not going to be happy with what I'm going to say, but I said Trump is asking for an off ramp. That's before the ceasefire was on.
He doesn't get one, Mario. It's not in Iran's interest to give Trump an off ramp. If Iran chickens out, basically surrenders, give Trump an off ramp, then Iran gets bombed again in 6 months and we go through this whole shit again. Do you think, well, it might be good for your career, mine too, but I'd rather not still. I'd rather this war just ends and is over for years to come and no one even thinks about it again. And to do that, you need a price. A price so painful the world will never consider attacking Iran again. This 5 to 7%, that's a good start. That is, if Trump goes along with it, it's a clear loss for the United States. That together with the oil crisis that's going to hit soon, no one will be attacking Iran in 6 months.
Announced. Like Trump is looking for an off ramp, and the Iranians should give him one. And if they don't, the Iranians move.
Why? Why should they give Trump a present like that when Trump lost the war? Oh, when Hitler lost World War II, should we have just, stopped advancing on Berlin and just, give him an off ramp? No, you don't give the loser an off ramp.
I kind of like this. I said the Iranians moved from the victim of this war of aggression to.
Dude, you giving Trump an off ramp? Fuck him. No, I mean, Trump... fuck Trump.
I mirror that. fonder feelings towards Trump because of his first term was actually good, but this second term Trump, yeah, fuck him. He bombed Iran's supreme leader. He got himself into this mess. Fuck him. He did this to himself.
He's launched a surprise attack in the midst of negotiations. Can you imagine what the reaction of the United States reacted when the Japanese did that to us in 1941, and they didn't kill 168 schoolgirls. They focused on killing military targets.
That's why I mean, what is so absurd about Mario, Iran needs to give Trump an off-ramp. You do realize that Trump killed Iran's supreme leader, their pope. Why the fuck do they need to give an off-ramp to the guy who kills their supreme leader? It's just insane what you're proposing, Mario.
Targets. The United States attacked and murdered little girls. So, the Iranians want to give Trump an off-ramp. And tell you what, the Iranians should tell Trump, kiss our ass.
They should. So your position right now, should the Iranians take a deal that's really positive for them, or should they keep fighting? Should they start bombing right now?
No.
They should take a deal that's very positive for them. If Trump goes along with 5 to 7% fees, yeah, take it if you're Iran. That is basically Trump surrendering to you.
Iran should set the deal it wants.
Yeah, that's fine.
It sets the terms. It's in control.
Yes, exactly. I'm fine with that. This is an off-ramp. So when they give him an off-ramp, means they let him get out of the war by trying to take as much as possible, reparations, etc. That's understandable. My worry is that because there's people within Iran, they're so upset at this war, they want the war to continue. They actually want to drag Trump, intentionally drag it back into the war and cause more damage, death, and destruction for the US, for the Gulf. And for them, it's justified. For them, they want to cause as much pain to the US so it doesn't happen again.
I disagree in what's in the best interest of Iran. Humiliating Trump and getting him impeached later by extension because Democrats win the midterms and impeach him, etc. That's enough. Control of the Strait of Hormuz, causing an oil shortage. You've extracted your pound of flesh, your vengeance. Nothing more painful for Trump than humiliation.
Person that doesn't want war. So I'm like, if Trump wants to off-ramp, I think the Iranians should allow him to off-ramp. What I mean by this is doesn't mean the Iranians shouldn't ask for as much as they can get. That normal negotiations, they've done an incredible job so far with negotiations. The only worry I have is the voices in Iran. There's it's 90-something million people, it's different voices. The voices in Iran that want the war to continue because they're full of anger, they had friends, family killed, they're upset at their supreme leader
You're
killed.
pivoting, Mario. You were first that the fees were too high. That was your problem. Now you're pivoting to people in Iran who want the war to continue. Yeah, but those people aren't in charge. There was one time alone did Iran attack first.
Those voices pushing the country back into war. That's the worry that I have. I just don't want the war to continue. Not by the Americans, not by Trump, and not by the Iranians either. So far, the Iranians have taken the path where they don't want the war to continue. When Trump stops the strikes, they stop the strike.
Hey, navigating. Oh, look, it's Mario from Nintendo. Yes. His beard is blonder than I remember, but yeah, that's Mario. Hey, how's it going? Having a good week? Is it hot where you are too? Because it's really hot here.
I should just...
Doing good. That's good. I'd say it's warm, but not hot. Okay. Me, it's, what would you call 85 and humid? I call that's pretty hot. That's on the hotter side, right? That's not warm. Warm is like 78. Anyway. Hot is when it's warm enough to be slightly unpleasant. Warm is just nice. Yep. So, got any shorts for me? All right.
Hey, Dante. Any reason why you fight completely different in the cutscenes versus how you fight normally? What? Nero, what the hell are you...
It's half true. He does go a little bit extreme in the cutscenes, but he fights like wielding a motorcycle and other weapons. He's probably pretty insane just during normal combat too.
You talking about? You really don't notice it. Nope. Uh-huh. Dante in the cutscene.
You don't stand a chance, little brother. I will prove once and for all that I am better than you.
You know, you sure talk a lot for someone who lost to a jar of peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Why, you?
Let's settle this, Virgil. Once and for all. Dante, in game.
You really think you stand a chance?
Soul Drake, Gunslinger. Come on, move your go.
What the fuck are you doing? You son of a bitch! Why don't you try
Oh,
this?
what was that?
What are you doing?
I want to see what that said.
Son of a bitch!
I have Discord server, but I am too afraid to announce it. Okay.
Why don't you try this on for size?
Sword six style.
Man, I'm bored.
Why don't you take me seriously for once? Yeah. Am I being defeated?
And that's what I'm talking about. You know, I hear what you're...
You know, that's all fair because it depends who's playing. If it's like a speedrunner, maybe a veteran player playing on hardest mode or something, but a complete newbie. It's different during the gameplay. It's not like that. Yeah, a complete newbie isn't switching styles.
You're saying, Nero, but I still don't see it. You really are a dumbass. Huh? What? You said something? Fuck you, Dante.
Jackpot.
Okay. Sword, trick, gunslinger. Royal Guard is the last style, the fourth style. The achievement names sing out the Sonic Heroes theme.
What goes up must come down. Get my feet don't touch the ground. See the world spin upside down. A mighty crash with air and sound. I can feel your every rage. Step aside, I'll turn the page. Breaking through your crazy maze. Like a laser beam, my eyes on you. You could find you, defying your rage.
So they made the achievement names the lyrics of the song. That's funny. Yep. People might have been confused, like, what are the names of these achievements?
Hello? What the hell?
Oh, by the way, navigating, just to make sure, I jumped around to a bunch of Discord servers till I found someone doing a movie night, and I joined the call, and I made sure, yes, I could hear everyone else on the Discord server. So I'm fairly certain that the Discord issue isn't on my end. Because, yeah, I joined another call, and I could hear what they were saying, and...
Oh, what the hell? Electrician come last week. The hell I pay you for? Whew. Why it suddenly get colder? What the hell?
A haunted house? Oh, there's a string.
What the heck?
Read the title. Why Ghosts Don't Haunt Asians. Okay.
Steven! This is one of your failures.
Yeah, well, if it's a ghost, why is there a string? Why do ghosts need strings?
What the heck? Steven! This is one of your failures. Oh, I smell bitch in here. Yep, Smell like bitch. The hell you doing? What the? What the hell? That's my new sheet. I use the fabric softener. You don't know the white sheet get dirty on the floor? Is that you? You stupid! You cost me electricity! You don't know this costs 5 cents a day? Why the hell is so cold? Who are you, my ex-girlfriend? You don't know
You don't need AC. You should be happy about saving money.
the heating costs money lah. Who the hell you think I am?
Or I guess this is in winter.
Jackie Chan, I make videos on YouTube. What the hell you do? You scare the people. Only thing scary about you is your unemployment. Where the hell were you Halloween? I had to buy the stupid decoration. Buy the web skeleton. Stupid. One day of the year, you don't do nothing. You stand there for one day on Halloween. Couldn't do your job. You such a failure. You made my son look like Elon Musk. That was the joke. You want to say my
That was a joke. Okay.
okay? $700 a month rent. You have to do the laundry. You don't pay the rent, you're gonna be wearing garbage bag next week. I didn't want to say, I don't mean to be rude, but when the last time you showered? When you came in, the room smelled like ass in a fish market. Are you a cat? This is Beijing Kong. This yes, this no, okay. Are you a cat? Oh, you're a cat? What
If he was a cat, he wouldn't understand human language and wouldn't be able to answer that question.
happened? You run out of lives? What's your name? Beijing Kong. Your name is Beijing Kong? Okay, sorry, I didn't know you were a cat. I thought you were just stupid. Here, you can stay here with me. There you go. We make friends.
Yeah. I don't think a cat would be able to answer the yes/no question, so I don't think that really works. But it's funny. Yeah. I think I might have fixed it. Someone else was able to hear my stream on Discord today. Okay. We can. Well, we already watched the video on it, but we could try just to see. If you want. Yeah. All right. Unless you want to try it now, I'm going to go back to the video on Iran and scolding Mario for having bad views. I'm fine with trying it later. Okay.
Nightbot.
Back to the video.
Iranians either. So far, the Iranians have taken the path where they don't want the war to continue. When Trump stops the strikes, they stop the strikes. They could be bombing the Gulf right now. They're not. So far, we're heading on the right path. My worry is with these demands, if they get those demands, this is beyond capitulation. Good for them. Congratulations for them. If the Americans accept this or Trump just walks away, if they can charge this. But when I saw those numbers, and there's another bill being passed as well that gets even wilder, I started looking at this and I can read it out now, actually.
Wait, hold on. A bill being passed by whom? Give the information.
Parliament, Iranian parliament. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you now. So there's a bill being passed by the Iranian parliament, according to Fars News, and this is separate to the Oman-Iran negotiations. And according to this, the bill has the following points. Number one, the passage of vessels belonging to the U.S., Israel, and other hostile countries through the Strait of Hormuz will be prohibited. So the bill says U.S. and Israel cannot, and any hostile countries cannot.
There's some context to this, Mario. Do you know what's going on between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia? Now there's a conflict and Houthis are trying to lift Saudi Arabia's blockade on the country. How do you think that blockade will go if Iran opens the Strait of Hormuz to Saudi Arabia? Then Saudi Arabia won't need the Red Sea anymore. If Strait of Hormuz is open, Saudi Arabia can just move its oil out of the straits, and it doesn't matter if the Houthis have closed the Red Sea. The Houthis, Iran's allies, lose all of their leverage if Saudi Arabia is suddenly able to move ships through the Gulf of Hormuz. It would be a betrayal of the Houthis for Iran to let Saudi Arabia ships go through the Straits of Hormuz. So they're not going to do that. That's what the bill in Congress, in Iran is for. It's to back up their allies.
Pass through.
Yeah.
Number two, and that's not just to be clear, these are not wrong demands. I'll tell you my concern. Again, Iran was the victim of a war of aggression, so obviously they're justified to ask for a lot. And my worry is that this drags us back into war. That's the worry that I have. So number one is Israel, US are not allowed in any other hostile countries. Fine. They're weaponizing the Strait of Hormuz. That is the concern that I have. Number two, shipments related to Israel, whether military or civilian, will not have the right to transit the Strait of Hormuz.
Makes sense.
Vessels or cargoes that play any role in actions against the resistance front, so the axis of resistance, will be subject to the ban. So that means any vessel that is involved in aggression against the axis of resistance will also not be able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. That's three.
Yes, that means if Saudi Arabia is bombing the Houthis, Saudi Arabia ships aren't going to be able to go through the Strait of Hormuz. It makes sense.
Four, countries and individuals that have caused damage to Iran will not receive permission to pass through the straits until compensation is paid. So any countries, I don't know whether they include Gulf indirect damage, but I think they're referring to the US and Israel, but they can make it more broad, involved that cause damage to Iran will have to pay compensation before using the straits. And heavy fines, including up to 20% of the value of the cargo, are planned for violators, anyone that violates these demands. Now, you can easily make the argument that these are fair demands after what Iran has gone through. I'm not disputing that. But we went from whether Iran will charge a fee and it will be similar to Malacca or Turkey, to now we're looking at charging something 200 to 500 times.
Wait.
When did we ever go through that? We've never heard about how much Iran would be charging. Besides, I think when they were charging a fee earlier this year, it was 2% or 3%.
Wait. Hold on there. That's what you just said is not correct.
What?
Never at any point did they say, "Oh, we're going to pay our fees to Malacca or Turkey."
No, they didn't say that.
Yeah, they never
maybe
did.
the Prime Minister said, but there's nothing official.
No,
I'm saying that
never. They never. Iran never said that. No, they said we're going to charge a toll, and we're going to charge tolls to repay us for the damage done. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And
So I'm not
given the
saying-
amount they're charging, I think that's quite in line.
So the debate before was whether Iran will charge a fee and how it will compare to the Strait of Malacca, etc. And these are just discussions. Who was discussing it? I don't know. But these were the conversations. The conversations I was having a conversation with Professor Izadi about the Strait of Malacca and comparing it to the Strait of Hormuz. So these were he's not an official, but I'm saying these were the conversations being had. So we went from there to now asking for something 200 and 500 times more. And on top of it, Iran having all these different rules for who can go through the straits. I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm not here to dictate what's right or what's wrong. I'm not in that position. And again, Iran's been victim to a pretty significant war of aggression. The Manab school being one of many examples. A lot of people died outside the Manab school. That's on top of decades of sanctions. So they're coming from a place where they're the victims of the war they did not start and they tried to avoid. I understand.
Exactly.
The concern that I have is this is such a big shift that I just don't know how the US could accept this. And if the US doesn't accept this, and
Exactly. The U.S. can't accept. There's no possibility of a deal or an understanding at the current moment. We need the oil shortage. We need Trump to be desperate. And once Trump is desperate, he'll agree to 5 to 7% fees in the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran does not budge from these demands, my concern is we're dragged back into war. Let's say the Americans are like, you know what, we'll accept 3%, which is already 200 times more, 300 times more, depending which straits. They say they accept 3%, which is a bigger number by far than any other straits. And the Iranians are like 6% or no. And this impasse from 6 to 3% leads us back to war, and that's my worry.
Yeah, and what's the United States going to do about it? They're running out of weapons, okay?
True.
They don't have the weapons to continue the damn war. That's the reality.
Or the bases, or the long-range radars.
That's why they're folding. That's why they're folding right now. In fact, I just learned Central Command took down its CAT. Okay, the Crisis Action Team, the 24/7, they took it down. It's no longer standing up. That means no more military missions, at least for the foreseeable future. Why? Because they're out of Tomahawks. They're out of JASSMs. They're at critical levels that if they continue wasting them in Iran, the United States is going to be depleted, and they can't rebuild them because they need the stuff from China to rebuild them. And China's saying, screw you, we're not giving you a damn rare earth mineral at all.
I recently heard China's banned the export of drone parts to the United States.
Yeah, so I know this. Like I'm the one who's been, foolishly saying the war is over for so long because I know this issue's existed from the beginning. Now they can still continue the war. Technically they can, but if they continue the war, number one, they don't have the precision missiles to have the precision strikes that they used to, and
So planes will have to fly deeper into Iran, and some of them will be shot down.
number two is they will run out completely. So they've already depleted the munitions, and there's reports on how Trump is pissed off
Right.
at Hegseth when he found out. They've depleted them. They can continue the war. It's suicidal.
Okay, but hang on right there. Trump's pissed off at Hegseth. This is not Hegseth's fault. Okay.
I'm not saying it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but don't repeat that. You blame it.
Well, to be fair, yes, the majority of blame should fall on Trump, but Pete Hegseth, he bears some responsibility for it. Netanyahu and him are the two parties that really pushed Trump into this war. Netanyahu more, but Pete Hegseth has been not helpful in terms of preventing this crisis and ending it.
I mean, Trump blames Hegseth. It's not Hegseth's fault. This is the fault of how the U.S. strategic doctrine is established, how it's funded, and with no thought given whatsoever to supply chains. I mean, this started before Trump, but nobody sat down, and in fact, people that try to raise it as an issue initially get shouted down. Case in point. I mean, I pointed this out 4 months ago, for God's sake, and everyone's acting like it's new. It's not new.
It was being discussed during the.
All you had to do was just do
Ukraine
some
war as
just do some basic reading to understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah. No, we've been talking about this for a long time.
America is enamored with its own hubris.
So the point I'm making when I said that if a deal's not reached, you said, what can the US do? My answer is the US could still get into a war. Is it a horrible idea? It's a suicidal idea, because then the US military will be weaker than it is now. It's already extremely weak, and they'll start depleting now they have a lot of these other munitions, but if they couldn't achieve their objectives with the precision missiles and tomahawks and the prisms they use, then they're going to be able to achieve them with the dumb bombs and the short-range missiles, and they will face significantly more casualties. So I'm not going to argue war is a good idea. I'm just saying that there's people I speak to that say, Mario, I debate people, I tell them the war's over. I've been doing that for months now, saying the war's over.
Yes, and I've been laughing at you for months for saying the war's over. Because you know what I've been saying for months? That it would end in August or September.
And they're telling me, Mario, it's not over. I'm like, yeah, but the missiles are being depleted. They're like, yes, that is horrible. But he still has other missiles he could use if he chooses to. So
okay. Stop. What other missiles?
The bunker busters, the dumb bombs, the short-range missiles, there's a lot of these.
No, there's not a lot of those. Look, you're pulling this out of your rear end right now.
No, actually, he's being right. There are nearly limitless quantities of dumb bombs, just explosives, that we could drop on Iran. They're left over from World War II in some cases, incredibly old or whatever, but we do have a lot of them.
The bunker busters, they're not going to...
No, we do not have unlimited bunker busters. I'm talking just World War II level bombs.
Fly aircraft over Iran now because they get shot down. And if the bunker busters were such a solution, which you can't, if you drop them on civilian areas, you're causing massive civilian casualties. Okay? And so you drop them on places like Pickaxe Mountain, all you do is blow up the dirt because those structures are built to defeat and protect against bunker busters.
Yeah, but you're telling me what I know. I know they're horrible ideas. You're just telling me how bad ideas.
It's not horrible idea. It's not even practical.
It is. The United States, Trump could give the order for U.S. bombers to fly deep into Iran and bomb Iran. It's possible. It's theoretically possible. It's physically possible. There'd be a lot of planes shot down. There'd be casualties on the U.S. side, but it's possible.
It's a waste of munitions.
It is waste, but it's possible. Larry, if you're saying that it's impossible for Trump to waste ammunition, I beg to differ. Just look at the last few months. Trump is very happy wasting ammunition.
I agree. But you're saying Trump, when I tell you I'm being rational, thinking rational, you tell me don't be rational. It's an irrational idea for now to attack. It's a very stupid idea to do so. I've been saying this for a very long time.
It was an irrational idea on 28 February. And they still
agreed it was the stupidest decision a president has done in the last 100 years.
Yeah, but thank you. So what I mean is it's an even worse idea right now, but Trump could still do it. More aircraft will be shut down.
Yeah. Here, Mario has a point, Larry. Trump has done really, really stupid things with regard to Iran many, many times, including bombing the Supreme Leader. Just saying he can't do it because it's stupid is actually a little bit retarded in this context. Trump is very, very capable of doing stupid decisions.
Objectives won't be achieved, but I'm saying he could still try to do it if they don't reach a deal. That is a concern that many people have. I'm in the camp that I think the war is over for these reasons, along with petroleum reserves, the fuel crisis that we've talked about, etc. I think the war is over.
You were in the camp that the war would never start, Mario, for these reasons also. Well, no, you can't make those judgments with regard to Trump or think like that. And I don't think that Trump will escalate, but You can never know for sure.
But if the Iranians come in with a demand, let's say the Iranians say, we want no ships to go through the Strait of
That's why I really want this oil shortage to start as soon as possible, because once people are starting to panic about like the availability of diesel, that puts an end to this nonsense of Trump doing an all-out attack on Iran.
Hormuz. They won't do that. Just hypothetically speaking, no more ships going through the Strait of Hormuz for some weird reason. They went mad. Then, obviously, the US will have to conduct military action to try to open the Strait of Hormuz because they have no choice. Now, this is an extreme example. So my worry that I have right now is the Iranians can demand it. They got so much more than I would have expected. I did not know when we got a ceasefire, they'll be able to get that many demands, which was extraordinary. And that's probably explains why Trump kept trying strikes, because the Iranians seemed to be demanding things that would be complete capitulation from the US. And Trump had to try strikes again to there's no way I can accept it. And that's why he's lashing out, saying how the Iranians are crazy, is stupid, probably because behind.
By the way, this is diesel. You know how oil went up, went down, and then well, I don't need to explain it. I could just show you the oil graph right here. This is oil. Went up, went down. It's about there. Compare that to diesel. So right here is the start of the war. It isn't coming down. This is what a beginning of a shortage looks like. Prices go up and up until there's an actual shortage, and then spikes up even more.
Behind the scenes, they're requesting those things. And Trump is trying strikes. Now, they seem to have played it right, because we're at a stage right now where for the Omanis to offer 3%, that's it's an insane achievement they got there. I don't think the Iranians will push far enough. My position is I don't think they'll push far enough to get back into war. They've been very strategic and pragmatic with this. That's where I'm at. But I'm saying these developments we're at a crossroad of two paths. Either this is going to be complete capitulation by the US and the Iranians are going to get an incredible deal. My money's on that side. I thought the war's over a long time ago. Or the Iranians are going to have such extreme demands that Trump is going to be dragged back into war. That's the other option, which I don't think will happen, but it is a possibility.
What are those extreme demands? Iran's demands they're already written down in the MOU. Lift the blockade. Lift the sanction. Lift the blockade. Lift the sanctions. Return the frozen assets and get Israel the hell out of southern Lebanon. And Iran hasn't moved. Iran hasn't moved on any.
Iran will get all of those demands.
Any of those,
plus 5 to 7% fee on the Strait of Hormuz.
And Trump's not going to accept those.
Yeah,
for now.
I think he could, but I think he'll accept those.
No, he won't.
On which ones?
He will accept them once diesel shortage happens. Just another tweet, I won't show, but saying that diesel is going up to $8 to $10 a gallon. Yeah, Trump will accept those.
Which ones do you think he'll accept?
He's not going to accept unfreezing assets, and he's not going to accept unblocking all sanctions.
Sanctions,
yeah. And he's certainly not going to press Israel to get out of southern Lebanon.
Yeah, but if he doesn't do those, Iran was not going to preemptively attack. They're just going to charge a toll and
just charge it.
Use other means.
The economic realities of needing the fuel, the oil, the liquid natural gas, the sulfur, the urea, and the helium that comes out of the Persian Gulf. That is, the world needs it. Certain countries need it more than others, like Japan, as an example. But the other thing we still don't know, we've got some hints of it, is there's been significant damage to the oil wells, the oil terminals, the LNG facilities.
Yep.
And one thing I bet you don't know is that the maintenance on all of those systems was being performed by U.S. contractors.
In which
U.S.
countries?
Of all of them.
In which countries? Kuwait, Gulf or?
Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. U.S. contractors are performing all of the maintenance and repair.
They are our puppet states. Of course, we do the maintenance.
They're the repair parts, replacement parts that go in for maintenance and repairs. Those are in warehouses that were based on U.S. military bases. Those have been destroyed. So the ability to actually go in and do any maintenance and repair now, that's another factor that nobody's taken into consideration. And without that, some of these, you're looking at could be months or years before some of these systems actually get back up and running. And without those systems running, the world is facing significant deficits, not in just one area, in at least 5 areas. And those areas affect transportation, food delivery costs, the price of computer chips, the price of nitrogen. So we're not talking one isolated event. We're talking something that's a global economic impact. And I still believe maybe wrongly, but we're already in a global recession. The question now is this recession going to become a depression?
I think we're heading for a recession. Whether we're technically already in it yet or not, I'm not sure. What I do when diesel goes up to $8 to $10 a gallon, yeah, well, we're having a recession for sure. And that might, as Larry said, morph into a depression. I think it'll just be a severe recession, frankly. But it depends what happens with the financial crisis that's going to happen next year, triggered by all these costs of the Iran war.
Yeah, so on the Strait of Hormuz, I think the new reality in the region is, so Trump doesn't have to unfreeze assets, etc. He could just walk away, and it's up to the Iranians to decide what to do in response. Their biggest tool is, number one, Strait of Hormuz. Number two is threatening the Gulf, which is like an extreme case scenario. And they will start, based on this bill that are passing into law, they will start leveraging the Strait of Hormuz to advance their interests, whether getting a solution for the Houthi problem, maybe going Hezbollah, defending Hezbollah, maybe going all the way to Hamas as well in Gaza. So this is, and it's a thin line.
Hamas isn't an Iranian proxy. Iran has sympathy for the Palestinian people, but there is no deep relationship between Hamas and the IRGC.
Because right now, Iran is the victim of a war of aggression. And they're coming out of this as a victorious country, as the country that won. And the country that wins generally has the better deal. Israel always makes the argument, whenever we win a war, whenever I talk to people about why Israel hasn't given up the Golan Heights, etc., the people that believe Israel should occupy more territory, the argument they make for me is like, Mario, in war, when a country wins, in many cases, they gain territory. That's been the case throughout history. In this case, on the Iranian front, there's no territory, unless you consider the Strait of Hormuz territory, but there's
Israel provokes a war, or does a preemptive war, wins the preemptive war. That means preemptive war, they attack first, they win the war, then they take land. Yes, that is Israel.
New reality in the region. Now, as a person that just doesn't want wars to happen, didn't want war to happen in the first place, I don't want the Houthi war to happen. So that's my position. How do we avoid wars? Obviously, I don't think the US is going to, I don't know, the US may be stupid enough to start a war again in the region. And now we've got Iran leveraging those tools to their advantage. And I don't know how that's going to turn out. I don't know. I really don't know. If the Iranians start to leverage the Strait of Hormuz and close it for other objectives, let's say the Israelis attack Hezbollah, everyone's like, that's not okay, and they close the Strait of Hormuz. I just don't know how the global community is going to react to that.
Well, yeah. Look, what's ultimately going to dictate the outcome is going to be the global economic conditions. And, Iran, in its charging of fees, they're not going to charge the Chinese. They're not going to charge the Russians. Of course, Russians aren't getting anything out of there to speak of. So remains to be seen what they do with India. If it's done with under the auspices of BRICS, they may give all the BRICS countries a pass because the BRICS countries weren't involved with the attack.
But they haven't given any exceptions yet. There hasn't been talks of.
Yeah, but India hasn't been great to Iran either, especially like when that warship was sunk off the coast of India. There was no official condemnation by the Indian government. I'm sure Iran remembers that.
Exceptions.
No, I understand that, but there will be exceptions.
You think?
Want to take a bet?
No, I don't want to take a bet.
Yeah, there will be exceptions.
There's always exceptions.
Just like the Houthis already have, they're going to shut down all the Saudi, sorry about that, all the Saudi oil exports.
Someone's grumpy today. I want to take a bet.
If I'm right, you're going to have to appear naked on your next show.
Yeah, you were saying Saudis, the Houthis.
Well, you saw the Houthis made an exception for China.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, the Iranians are in the same ilk. The Iranians will make an exception for Pakistan. So it's
not charging a fee for Pakistan.
Yeah. So Pakistan's been playing. They've been trying to play a key role in all this. We'll see how the talks with MBS go. You had Sharif, and I believe Munir showed up as well in Saudi Arabia today. Maybe it was just Sharif.
And Trump spoke to MBS 2 hours ago.
Yeah. Please don't sell us out to those Pakistanis.
Yeah, so there's another report here. That's the earliest one. Oman has agreed to the I would make a bet This is going to be a really tough one. I'm going to try to make let's actually just fun not actually bet something, but like if we had to guess how that deal is going to look like, what would you guess is the fee's going to look like? How much?
What I'm interested in is how the distribution of that fee is. How much of the fee is going to Iran versus Oman? I'd expect the lion's share to go to Iran.
I think it will be.
I really don't. The Iranians are going to set it according to what they think that they can get. I'm sure this opening, 5-7% is it may be a negotiating position, and they'll back off maybe. But it is.
I think they might accept 3%, but if it's permanent 3%, that'll be crazy. But I don't think we'll get a higher number than 3%. But that's insane.
I disagree. I think 5% is very reasonable because there's a very real possibility that Trump doesn't unfreeze assets or lift sanctions, in which case Iran needs to recuperate all the costs of this war through this fee. And you need 5-7% for that.
That is insane. Congratulations for them. It's just insane in like a crazy way. Like that's a wild deal. Like I remember people were debating whether Iran would charge a fee. Now we're talking about how high that fee would be.
I don't remember.
The world has changed.
Debating that. I remember saying at the outset, they're going to charge a fee. They said they're going to charge a fee. Listen to what they're saying. They're not just making stuff up.
That was the biggest mistake of the MOU for Iran, to not charge a fee for 60 days. It was a gift to Trump. It allowed him to pretend he'd won the war, just giving Trump a free pass. So they're not doing that anymore, which I think is very good.
Go back to their original 14-point paper that they presented to the United States. Essentially, most of that's encapsulated or captured by the ultimate MOU. Now, you can make the case that Iran did a lousy job in some aspects of that MOU, making it a little fuzzy, like with respect to the return of frozen assets. They didn't, in the MOU, they didn't insist, got to be now. But now, I think when they go back, the United States has already rejected the MOU. So you want to restart it again? Okay, restart it. You got to kick in a little bit up front now. You don't get to just go back to square one.
Iran also has built a strong deterrent. So remember how I said throughout all this tit for tat, it's been Trump trying to get concessions on the negotiations, all these back and forth since the ceasefire, no shaping operations, etc. Because of how significant the Iranian demands are, relatively significant in the view of the Americans. Each person has their perspective. And the worry right now is they ask for a lot. Trump may attack again to get concessions. So what did the Iranians do now to make sure he never attacks again? They've communicated to the Gulf that
Iran threatens to burn the Gulf if America strikes again.
If I've saved it somewhere, but they said if they're attacked in any way, there it is. Iran warned the Gulf states that any new attack on Iranian territory, there's no specific attacks, would trigger retaliation against critical energy infrastructure across the Gulf, including water desalination plants and refineries, energy infrastructure, everything. So the Iranians as well.
And Mario lives in Dubai. Right here. And that's not good for Mario.
American bases, of course. So the Iranians are changing the rules of engagement yet again by saying, look, we're not going to go through an escalation ladder. You attack us in any way, we're going to go all out on the infrastructure that you guys have. The warning was conveyed through high-level diplomatic contacts after Trump threatened the strikes a few days ago, the July 28th deadline. Abbas Araghchi delivered, so about 10 days ago, Abbas Araghchi delivered a consistent message in calls with Saudi, Qatar, Turkey, and with Asim Munir, that any U.S. attack would be met with strikes on U.S. assets and Gulf energy facilities, while emphasizing that diplomacy remained the preferred path. The warning encompassed potential strikes on oil and gas facilities, refineries, power grids, water infrastructure, transport networks, and oil fields across the Gulf.
By the way, did you see Ghalibaf trolling Trump today?
Yeah. Let me find it. He said...
I want to see this too.
Can you show this on the screen, please, Lisa? And he says, quote, massive attack coming. Wait, never mind. They want to negotiate. So he's like quoting this as in Trump. That's theater diplomacy on loop. Using bullying plus broken promises plus fake news as leverage is a failed strategy. Acknowledge the facts and fulfill your commitments. We don't need more theater. So that's Ghalibaf trolling Trump.
But see, really, this is Trump. Became famous over art of the deal, and in his art of the deal, this was basically his negotiating process. Make these extreme threats, etc.
That is a masterpiece of a tweet.
And then he forced the other side to make some concessions and then make a deal. In this case, he can make all those extreme threats he wants, ending civilization, etc. Iran says, all right, bring it on. Because Iran knows they can fire missiles from underground. The United States can't touch them. And in fact, during all this hiatus, Iran's building new missiles. Plus, they're getting, I believe they're getting missile shipments from China as well. That the Chinese want to test some of their missiles in combat conditions.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. On the Houthi front, it's not good news. A senior Saudi official told CNN that Saudi is preparing for possible coordinated attacks by Iran-backed Iraqi militias and the Houthis, citing intelligence from Saudi, the US, and regional partners. So this is from CNN. And there was a similar report an hour ago from another publication. I'll read it in a bit. A plan involves coordination with Iran's IRGC and could include simultaneous attacks from the north and the south using drones and missiles. The official said the suspected targets are primarily civilian and economic infrastructure, including energy facilities, ports, and airports. Saudi has detected meetings involving Iraqi militia members, Houthis, and IRGC personnel, as well as movement of weapons.
Well, who was it that attacked those Iraqi militias? Oh, that was right. That was Saudis and the United States. Those militias hadn't attacked Saudis in any significant way. Saudis brought this on themselves.
Yes.
And the same with the Houthi. You know, the Houthis continue to let the Saudis know they're going to beat them up. And the Saudis' only option now: negotiate, make a deal, stop blockading the Houthis, accept them as the power in Yemen. They control the majority of the population. They only control a third of the territory, but they control a majority of the population. And the majority of the population supports the Houthis. So Ansar Allah is, again, they've got trump cards. Saudis don't.
Yeah, the Houthis. So the Saudis attacked Iraq, claiming that they were the drones launched by the Houthis from there, and they attacked the Houthi airport and the airport when that plane was landing. And the Houthis are now leveraging the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, as well as striking Saudi infrastructure because of the blockade that Saudi has over Yemen for a decade now. And a blockade is an act of war. So I think this is the position.
I am completely on the Houthis' side in this. The Houthis have been through so much.
The Houthis. I have a question for you to see your position. If the Iranians ask Trump to unfreeze assets or lift sanctions, and Trump refuses to do so, but walks away. Let's say Trump agrees, says, look, Iran, you sort out the Strait of Hormuz with the rest of the world. We're out. It's none of our business anymore. You can sort it with the rest of the countries. And, moves a lot of the military assets away to stop, the military campaign is over. He declares it over. He starts moving. You start seeing more movements away from the region. If they don't get some of their demands, like unfreezing of assets or lifting of sanctions, in your view, does that justify for Iran starting preemptively attacking American interests or not? I'm not saying they will. I'm curious to get your position.
I'd say no, they're not going to do that. They did that at one time when Netanyahu was going to Washington as basically retaliation for that, as a message. But they're not going to attack first. They don't need to. They control Strait of Hormuz. What they're waiting for is the oil shortage. That's what they're waiting for.
No, why? They wouldn't need to, because they're going to enforce the rules for entering and leaving the Strait of Hormuz. They'll start, and the payment's going to be made in Chinese currency. It's not going to be made in dollars.
Yep.
Shit.
And that
Literally the nail in the coffin of the petrodollar.
that again further weakens the petrodollar. And I guarantee you, China and Russia, they may not be publicly out cheering them on, but privately they're saying, keep it up, guys. Keep the pressure on. Because the only thing the United States really understands is the economics. And we saw what we saw this week with the Scott Bessent, panicked intervention in Japan. It is a short-term fix. And, I think you've had Philip Pilkington on your channel, correct?
Many times. He was on today as well.
Yeah. And, he's talked about this. This is sort of a desperate play. Chris Martenson as well. I did have a PhD, comprehensive field in international economics. I don't pretend to be what those guys are in terms of their economic analysis, but I can see the big picture. And the big picture is the United States is not in a strong position at all. Its current
And its position is just going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes on, until inflation starts spiraling out of control in about 5 years, I think.
and it's the spending. For God's sake, I mean, $3 trillion in 18 months. If they keep that up, it's going to be another $3 trillion, $4 trillion in another 18 months. And it's just, you know, the United States is already at 125% or more of its GDP to debt ratio, or debt to GDP.
Japan's even
ratios.
worse.
No, Japan's like 240%. Just something ridiculous.
But
240%, but it's a lot less if you consider the amount held by the public. A lot of it is held by the Bank of Japan, which is basically Japan owning its own debt.
also, another piece of news, you know how we've talked for months about, there's going to be that the power vacuum in the region, and we're talking about who's going to fill that vacuum, and we talked about the alliances between Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi, etc. Well, Reuters just reported about 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, Turkey, Saudi, and Pakistan are set to sign a joint defense agreement on Friday.
Okay. Defense against whom?
You always ask me the tough questions, Larry, and then I answer it, and then I know.
It's actually a pretty important question. The alliance between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan that was in force before this Iran war started was an alliance aimed at Israel, not Iran, and it it hasn't worked out very well for Saudi Arabia in terms of getting Pakistan to join the war against Iran.
Know what was going to happen next. Well, that's actually, honestly speaking, that's actually a good question. Because what happens if the Houthis attack Saudi?
Have the Houthis already attacked Saudi?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have. So why ask us hypothetical when it's something that's already happened?
Saudis already have a defense agreement in place with Pakistan.
Yep.
And what did Pakistan do?
Exactly. And the Iranians attack Saudis as well.
Nothing.
Yep.
So that agreement was
The
agreement
Iranians attack
probably
Saudi as well.
so that agreement's probably predicated on Israel, not on
Exactly.
not on Iran, not on the Ansar Allah.
Also, the current conflict with the Houthis was initiated by Saudi Arabia. And alliances usually work a lot better in response to a country being attacked. If two countries are allied, one of them gets attacked, the other one joins in. When one of the two allies does the attacking and starts the war, the other ally isn't as excited about joining in.
It's tricky. Right, so we've cleared the new deal, the new position of the Iranians, or the reports on the deal. There's been multiple reports throughout the day. There is a deal, there isn't a deal. Northern corridor, southern corridor, middle corridor. What the fee would be, Iran stopping the ships, the law they're passing to stop ships. So a lot of reporting throughout the day. What the information I've given you is probably the biggest developments.
Who was it? Just refresh my memory, please. I'm old and forgetful. Who was it that set that said 5 to 7%? Was that,
That
wasn't
was Fars
foreign
News.
ministry.
No, sorry. No, that was not Fars News. That was, no, that's speculative, not true. So that's why I said at the beginning, this is by, I think it's Reuters. Reuters, according to Reuters.
Yeah. So really, until we hear from the Iranians themselves what they're actually thinking, I wouldn't put a lot of confidence in Reuters. Reuters has a tendency to be a bit of a propaganda outlet for the West.
And also,
I can attest to that. It's better than the evening news, for example, but still, it definitely has a slant to it.
so even if it's true, remember the Iranians, Trump, that's a Trump strategy. He talks about, takes an extreme stance, like we're going to wipe out a civilization, a regime change, or control the street. He just says outlandish things. But obviously, when it comes to reality, settles for something a lot less. Common negotiating tactics. So as you said earlier, the Iranians could be mentioning 5 to 7%. Might have even started at a higher number, but except 1%, 2%, 3%. I don't know. But I would say that is a pretty significant number. And the report also says Oman is counter-offering 3%. But all these are crazy numbers. Like this, just to be clear for the audience, this deal is complete capitulation for the US. That is I called it MOU capitulation, but the MOU people were debating whether it would include fees or not because the MOU didn't mention fees, but left it open. Now, looking at the strikes happened, the deal got worse. Actually, Chris Martenson, he did an interesting tweet. He quote tweeted me. Yes, let me find it. It's actually an interesting one. Let me see if I find it quickly for you. Chris Martenson, who's a regular on the show, just for the audience. There it is. That was a very good tweet. I retweeted it. Can you show this one on the screen, Lisa? I think Larry and the audience would like it. So he goes, Iran, we're going to charge $1 a barrel transit fee. That's between 1% and 2%. Trump, that's outrageous. Here are some bombs instead. Iran, the fees have now increased to 5 to 7%. Trump, probably. Deal. So, sums up really what happened. Because, this is true, actually. At the beginning, the discussion was about 1 to 2%. That's
Yes.
They click on the Chris tweet. You click on it.
I think they were charging 2%. when they did charge the toll to some ships.
Already clicked. Just expand it, just so I don't know if you can actually maximize. But yeah, this is the. There it is. Yeah, right. We're going to charge $1 a barrel. Trump's like, that's fucking outrageous. Everyone's like, okay, we're going to bomb you. And then everyone's like, all right.
Trump
now
making
5%.
situation worse.
Great deal. Great deal.
Yeah. Such a deal.
I really, it probably won't happen for a while. But if Trump accepts his 5 to 7% fees on the Strait of Hormuz, I'd love to see Asmongold's reaction to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, as with any sort of conflict where you try to use military power, as Clausewitz maintained, war is just an extension of politics. You've also got to deal with the politics. The Trump administration has been obsessed thinking it can just use military power to coerce and without dealing with the politics. And Iran's making it very clear. No, you're going to have to deal with the politics side, and that means you got to recognize that. Iran.
Oh, I finally found an updated Hormuz traffic chart. Before the war, during the war, the MOU is this little surge right here, and currently it's basically back down to nothing again.
Money and demands, they're under no pressure to make concessions.
Yeah.
So I saw a commentary earlier today by Mike Pompeo, and Pompeo said, Iran's been at war with the United States for 47 years. No.
He's right.
No.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm not a good time to poke you.
No, you can poke away, my friend. But
No, I gotta
the
time it
reality,
properly. It's a skill.
The reality is, it's been the United States that's been at war with Iran for 47 years. As we've talked
That
before,
is true.
it was the United States
The Iraq War.
that provided Iraq with the chemical weapons that or the precursors used to make chemical weapons, and intelligence used to attack. I mean, it's the United States is actually sponsoring the terror.
Saddam Hussein gassed 200,000 to 300,000 Iranians with chemical weapons that the United States helped provide.
Terrorist group is carrying out attacks against civilian targets in Iran. Iran's support to Hamas and Hezbollah, they've been targeted primarily at military targets, not at civilian targets.
You say Hamas and Hezbollah?
Correct.
Hamas, other than October 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even on October 7th, most of
Yeah,
the
they did
targets,
military targets.
most of the targets that were attacked were military targets, or kibbutzim that were in bed with the military. They weren't just some civilian.
But they did go also. Some members did go to homes and at concert and stuff. So they
went to they went to the concert, and then did the Israelis cross a line where they started indiscriminately hitting automobiles with missiles, just because they believed, because a lot of the casualties of the Israelis suffered were caused by their own government.
Yeah, I know these reports. I haven't done a deep dive into it, but I do my position on that case with Hamas. Now, I understand Hamas as a resistance group, etc., because of how Gaza is in very logical argument. But like on October 7th, Hamas definitely they attacked military targets, but they also attacked homes and attacked a concert. And I've seen the videos of them just killing civilians, shooting them on the streets.
Yeah, but it pales in comparison to what Israel's done to their civilians.
Yeah, two wrongs doesn't make a right.
I'm not claiming moral equivalency here, but put it, to condemn one, condemn the other.
Yeah, I condemn both, 100%. 100%. So there's the report that I mentioned earlier. I mentioned a report, and you turned it on me. But there was a report that Trump, which one I'm referring to.
I'm sorry. I'm a curmudgeon. I'm a curmudgeon.
So there's a report by CNN citing 16 U.S. officials, including at least one White House official, that Trump is becoming frustrated with. No, that's the media coverage one. There's, which one? Oh, there it is. Trump confronted Hegseth at Camp David last week over severe munitions shortages, demanding answers on why he had apparently been misled on extreme munition shortages that now threaten to limit military options, according to WAPO, Washington Post. He told Hegseth during the cabinet meeting at Camp David that he thought the munition shortage had been fixed. Don't know what that means, how a munition shortage could be fixed. Hegseth defended himself and blamed the Deputy Secretary of War, Stephen Feinberg, saying he had not ensured. Oh, you didn't see that?
Feinberg. He blamed Feinberg. Blame the Jew. Blame the Jew.
saying he has not ensured Trump was fully informed about the extent of the shortages. The White House has strongly denied the report, blah, blah, blah. So obviously this is a report, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but it would be crazy if Trump was actually not aware of the munition shortages. I had people tell me this. I'm like,
He lives in a bubble. He watches 3 hours of Fox News a day. Think he's getting any info on ammunition shortages from Fox News? Oh, God.
He chose not to be aware. He ignored it.
Exactly.
I'm sure the intelligence community provided
sure,
those
yeah.
assessments.
They
You know,
would've.
it's not like this is some top secret. You know, they're claiming this is top secret. Look, all I did was look at open source information, including what the Congress appropriated to the Department of Defense to purchase a lot of these weapons. And going back in history, you can figure out how many they were building.
yeah.
And then all you have to do is say, let's get an estimate of how many they used. And we're told they used at least 805, 850 Tomahawks in just the first 5 weeks of the war.
Did you see also the response Trump has posted that he said the U.S. has a massive amounts of munitions, especially certain types, additionally large amounts, blah, blah, blah. The leakers of these treasonous statements about the low munitions are being hunted down. Long-term jail sentences will be sought. They're coming after you, Larry.
Well, with no access to classified information, that'll be interesting. You know, like I said, I can read congressional reports and appropriations to the Department of Defense going back, 11 years, 12 years. This is
It's an open secret, in other words.
and for Trump to call it treason, telling him facts is treasonous. Think about there's no logic in that. And so now he wants to know why people misinformed him. Yeah, because if they informed him, he'd accuse them of treason.
No. He's accusing
He's accusing people who leak it to the press about the ammunition shortage, not people to tell him.
people that leak it to the press as treasonous.
He just fires the people that tell him.
But as you said, this is publicly available information. Like, you don't need to leak it. I made a joke with Brandon earlier, my co-host, because he's been talking about this shortage issue for a long time. And I said to him on the show, I'm like, he read the whole, we read the post by Trump. And I'm like, Brandon, they're coming after you. I know you leaked it. I know you got classified information. And, I make jokes like this. He started freaking out. I'm like, no, Mario, let me be clear. Let me be very clear. I have no access to classified information. It's all public information. I'm like, Brandon, I'm sure you do. I'm like, no, Mario, no.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
and I didn't even.
And I understand a little bit because he doesn't even want to be investigated. You don't want someone to come to your home, raid your house, take all your electronic devices on suspicion that you might have classified information. Even if you know you're innocent, it's a royal pain.
And I didn't even get any information of that sort from anybody currently in the military or formerly in the military. But like I said, it's public. All you got to do is look at Congress appropriates the money, and it appropriates money for certain weapon systems, and you got the public statements out of Lockheed Martin. Their Schedule 8.
investor reports, yeah.
Yeah, they tell you how much they're building, and so it's like, guys, just do some basic research. And now if Trump,
The Discord I frequent was like one Discord away from the War Thunder debacle. Oh. What's that? Massive player revolt in mid 2023 over heavily criticized economic and progression overhaul. War on Thunder. Oh, gaming. Okay. Good. War War Thunder could very well be some type of U.S. operation, like Epic Fury. Gaming and names of military operations vary in the same sphere. War Thunder League. Okay. Okay, so it was a classified document leak. List of vehicles that have had classified export restriction documents leaked about them to make the funny vehicle game more accurate. I see. So it still has to do with gaming. It's still a gaming thing, although it does involve real classified document leaks. They were arguing on Discord. I can imagine.
Trump wasn't aware of this and no one briefed him, shame on them for not briefing him. But as you can see with Trump's reaction, it doesn't encourage people to come forward and tell him uncomfortable truths.
Yeah, we're seeing things like this. I kind of
Yeah. The people that oppose the Iran war are the same type of people that would come forward and bring uncomfortable truths, because it's because of those uncomfortable truths that they probably oppose the Iran war. And those are the same people that have been systematically removed from Trump's entourage because they're not loyal with his ambition to attack Iran. It's such a mess.
reaffirming that narrative that Trump lives in a bubble where people are scared to give him facts. Look, leaks, to be honest, leaks have been pretty accurate, because the news like this has been leaking for a while, and about Trump, people, and there's that book, Regime Change, talking about it, about people too scared to give Trump the truth. And it's starting to seem more and more plausible.
First term, Trump was surrounded by traitors that worked to undermine his administration at every turn, cooperated with the Russiagate hoax, etc. Second term, Trump has surrounded himself with yes men. And now he lives in a bubble. The bubble looks like it's worse than the yes men in some aspects.
Which is crazy to imagine.
Well,
by the way,
and to be fair to Trump, he's not the first president to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I guarantee you.
To be like not take good news, not bad news.
Correct. I guarantee you, Joe Biden did it, Barack Obama did it, George W. Bush did it, Bill Clinton did it, just going back.
Only one who didn't do it was first-term Trump, who surrounded himself with basically traitors that worked against him.
When you get a president that's invested in a particular policy, they don't want to hear it's like, this is my baby. They don't want to hear somebody come in and say,
Exactly.
that's the ugliest damn baby I've ever seen. You know, they don't take that well.
One ugly baby.
But some of them, I'm sure, are worse than others. It's a personality trait. I think Trump is really full of hubris by the looks of it.
Well, like I said, I've seen this with other presidents. Hell, I saw it with George H.W.
I counter, Mario, anyone who runs for president has huge ego. Anyone who's elected to president, that ego gets even bigger. And so maybe you say Trump's ego is a little bit bigger than past presidents, but I'd counter that Trump is just more open about it than past presidents. I think past presidents were just as egotistical, they're just more diplomatic. Trump is not diplomatic in that aspect.
W. Bush. I remember, I wrote something about warning him that the Central Americans were going to adopt a policy that was going to be basically a conciliation with the Sandinistas. And so he was told about that in advance. And then when the Central Americans did what I said they were going to do, he came out, I've never heard about this. Nobody ever told me. I didn't read your PDB, huh?
Also, if you want to get the mindset of the Iranians right now during negotiations, are they worried about American strikes? Well, as they're negotiating, as the Americans are not doing anything, the Iranians just fired at another ship, another oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. So they're in a position where they just don't give a shit. They know they've got the upper hand. They struck a ship. Trump didn't even talk about it. Before, when they struck a ship, they're like, for every ship they
I'm just surprised there's still ships trying to sneak through.
strike, we're going to destroy a bridge or a power plant. Now they strike a ship, not a peep. So that's not. We could debate who has the upper hand diplomatically, what deal's going to happen, what's happening behind the scenes in the negotiations. Everyone could debate that. But we can't debate the number of ships going through
Trump has made so many empty threats.
Strait of Hormuz. We can't debate facts that are happening on the ground, like a ship struck right now, and the Americans not retaliating or talking about it. So that's the reality we live in. That's it. There's also a report that Trump could be endorsing J.D. Vance. But do we see reports leak like this?
Well, he's telling people privately that he supports Vance, but doesn't want to come out publicly and say it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's according to Washington Post again. He denied those claims. He said it's too early to endorse. It's like too early to even talk about this. But do you think he'll endorse Vance or Rubio? I'll put my money on Vance.
It'll take a long time before we get to that point.
Yeah, I've been saying for close to 5 months now that neither Rubio nor Vance will be our next president. They're going to be too tarred by this Iran fiasco. They didn't distance themselves enough from Trump, and they're going down with the Trump ship.
With
a lot
Trump,
of
you never
water.
know. He'll
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I said a lot of water that'll pass under that bridge. One scenario is that if he loses the House and the Senate, then it's probably pretty certain that he will be impeached. Now,
Yep. I predicted that like day 2 of the war. Day 1, I still held out for the possibility that there might be a Venezuela moment, and suddenly, magically, everything goes in Trump's favor. day 2, I said, okay, that's not going to happen, and Trump's going to get impeached.
The smart play for the Democrats would be not to impeach him, but just let him, twist slowly in the wind, completely, castrated for the last 2 years of his administration. But, if they go and press ahead, I think they likely could get a conviction. And so he could be removed from office. But before that, he'd find health reasons or whatever to bail out. And then it puts Vance in charge. Vance has the potential to try to reset the agenda. I mean, it'll be an uphill battle. But at least
If Vance gets in early enough, maybe he can reset things up. It'd be very difficult. He's going to be hurt badly by what Trump is doing in Iran. I still think Tucker is more likely than Vance.
Vance doesn't engage in the kind of crazy, off-the-wall comments that Trump does.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Like, everyone had those hopes for Trump ending wars and all that. It's kind of giving up on whoever's president. It's like the same policy again and again and again and again. It's just wild. Bobby, tomorrow we'll talk about the 10-point plan or whatever that Tucker put out, which is interesting. But we'll discuss that tomorrow. Larry.
But that's an interesting idea that Trump might bow out early and get a pardon from Vance. That might be what happens. That actually, now that I think about it, is a very likely scenario. He's getting old, tired. I don't think he wants to fight impeachment for months and months and months, especially if he might lose the impeachment proceedings this time, because he has done an impeachable offense by starting this war without Congress's approval. Anyway, this was a very interesting